I've spotted a couple of things from Berlanga's camp for Canelo that make me think he might actually have a better chance than some of us are giving him credit for. So stick around to the end of this video, guys, because I'm going to be giving you my revised prediction for Canelo versus Berlanga. Hello everyone, welcome back to A Guy Called Henry. Canelo versus Berlanga is upon us, guys, and so it's time for me on this channel to start making my final predictions. And obviously I did my big Canelo versus Berlanga breakdown video. I put it out a little bit too early. It was about a month ago, a month before the fight, where I really went into some detail and broke it down. And in that video, I looked at what fighters have done in the past that have given Canelo problems. Now, obviously, no one is really giving Berlanga a chance in this fight, and rightly so. He's fought much lower levels of opposition. He's shown fragilities. He's shown weaknesses in his style. And, you know, a lot of the times he doesn't look like he has a particularly high IQ as a boxer, despite having that phenomenal record-breaking first-round knockout run where he was just taking out everybody super quickly. You know, the sort of criticism of him is that he hasn't really developed and hasn't fought guys that are of a high enough level to bring him on as a fighter and as a boxer. And so we're in this position where he's got that Canelo fight a little bit too early. You know, some people feel like he needed more seasoning, more time to mature as a fighter. And you can't say that it's an unfair comment. But guys, what I want to do in this video is I want to react to the gloves off Canelo versus Berlanga, because this video series went inside the two guys' camps. And the reason I want to do this is because I want to try and see if I think Berlanga has been at least working on the right things to try and beat Canelo in this fight. Because if he has, then there's a chance that he might do something that none of us expected, and there might be a massive upset on the cards. So I want to take a look at that. Before I get into this reaction video, I want to give you the keys to victory against Canelo here, because as I said, I did my big breakdown video, and I sort of went through it, and I figured out, right, these are the key elements that go into a fight actually beating Canelo. And most of these come from the Bivol victory. To look at what he did well in that fight is really important. And then what I want to do is look at this gloves off video, go inside Berlanga's camp and go, what is he doing here? Is he saying the right things? Does it look like he might actually be creating a game plan that could trouble Canelo? So the first thing that a fighter would need to do in beating Canelo is have a very, very active jab and not overcommit with those jabs. You saw it with Bivol, just touching the man constantly, repositioning him, creating angles, making him keep his guard up a lot of the time, and, you know, just touching with the jab and just keeping him honest and using it as a defensive tool as much as you do as an offensive tool. And it racks up the points as well. It's a very, very effective tool. You've got to have a good guard as well. You know, you've got to have a good, tight, high guard. You've got to make sure that, you know, Canelo can't just get easy, cheap shots on you, and you've not got a leaky defense. The footwork that goes along with this as well is absolutely crucial. So little small steps, you know, Bivol uses that pendulum step. So he's constantly on balance. He's constantly ready to throw punches and ideally jabs. And, you know, this is something that Berlanga would have to do. He'd have to use his feet very well. He actually does have quite athletic feet, Berlanga. I don't think he's used them correctly in the past, but I do think he is a good athlete. So the footwork is absolutely key. Subtle, small movements, making sure you're always on balance, using that jab in conjunction with that. He'd have to move off at angles. And this is a big one. And this ties into another point, which is staying off the ropes. And something that Bivol did really well was whenever he was backed onto the ropes, he'd very, very quickly find a way off them. He'd maneuver Canelo, he'd create an angle, he'd come off at an angle, and he's back on his jab again. And this is something that's really important because Canelo, one of his most effective areas of his game, especially against the big tall men that he's used to fighting, is getting them to the ropes and bashing them up from there, you know, using guard manipulation, hitting them high, hitting them low, bringing their guard up and down. So staying off the ropes is absolutely key. Moving off at angles is absolutely key. Not only that, but you must not get overexcited when Canelo is on the ropes because he wants you to attack him when he's on the ropes. That's when he gets the chance to create counter-attacking opportunities, moving his head, letting you punch him on the guard, dropping his hands, slipping, throwing big shots. He actually wants you to attack him on the ropes. So you can't get overexcited when he's in that position. Now, the key to Bivol winning this fight was the moment that he decided to launch his more significant attacks, where he'd throw aggressive combinations and get some power punches in there. And the moment when you want to do that with Canelo is when he's bringing his feet together. Because he's a shorter man, the way he moves into distance is he will often bring his back foot forward first, which means that his weight goes onto his front foot. Often you'll see that he ends up leaning forward a little bit, so his weight's over his center of gravity, which is not a good thing because if you land punches on him from that position, he's sort of off balance. Because that back foot lifts off, as soon as that back foot lifts, that's when you can go, that's when you can attack him. So these are the moments when you want to do that. Also, when he has to move back quickly, he often ends up in southpaw. He actually completely switches his legs to get away faster. We'll end up in the southpaw stance, which obviously he's not comfortable in. So all these little details of his footwork, these are the moments when you want to attack Canelo with speed and aggression. That's when it's safe to go against him. And of course, all the other attributes that must come with this. You know, you have to have a great chin because he is going to hit you and he's going to hit you hard. You have to have great stamina because to execute this game plan, you've got to be super fit. You know, you can't be taking breaks. You've got to be active all the time. And you've got to have good power to keep him honest. He will just walk straight through if you can't punch. Guys, don't forget to subscribe to my channel. Give the video a like. Get your comments in this comment section below. Let me know if you think Berlanga has any chance of any description against Canelo. Give me your predictions and let's get into this reaction video.
Hard work, discipline, dedication, ain't no limits. Ain't no limits, E. September 14th, it's your time, baby. It's time to shock the world. Take over.
Canelo, like, he likes when people respect him. He feels like they're his dog. You know, like, yeah, I'm the guy that's getting you paid. He's a guy that's cocky, that he's arrogant, you know, and he's smiling in my face. And I was like, fuck you. You want to smile in my face? I'm going to smile in your face, too.
Straight away, that's quite an interesting comment, you know, talking about, you know, Canelo likes it when people respect him and sort of pander to him. Berlanga obviously wasn't doing that when they first met a few months ago. He was very confrontational, you know, not backing down, showing that he had respect for him, but in a more hostile way. He was like, I respect you, but I'm not going to respect you when it comes to the ring. You know, he's talked about respect. And so far in this fight week, you know, we haven't had the weigh-in yet, but he has been very respectful and grateful for the opportunity. So I don't know if he's revised that idea about Canelo, whether he thinks maybe it's better to be a bit more respectful in the build-up to fighting him, to try and lull him into more of a relaxed state. Because it does seem that Canelo puts a little bit more spite into his work when you've pissed him off. And you could see that with Billy Joe Saunders, for example. And Canelo has spoken about that himself, saying how much he enjoyed hurting Saunders because he thought he was a bad guy. So I don't know. Maybe they've revised their strategy, but let's continue with the video.
Coming with the same stuff, same style. They want to see something different. They want to bring that Floyd energy back. You know, I'm not saying that I'm Floyd, but I'm a guy that people want to turn on the TV just.
He's definitely not Floyd.
To see me. You know what I'm saying? Like right now, Amazon Prime is gonna be on fucking fire once this video goes out. You know, they're gonna want to see Berlanga, regardless of whatever they say. They could talk the most shit. They're gonna say whatever. They're gonna pay to see me either win or lose, and I don't care. As long as you paying to watch me, it is what it is, man. I gotta go out there and I gotta do my job and I gotta win in fashion and look good. You know, and that's my main goal. I want the whole world to know who Berlanga is.
I mean, let's be realistic, guys. People are paying to watch Canelo. Let's not get this crossed. Like, Berlanga is a much smaller name. In his recent fights, he's not been that entertaining. He has had some good moments, but the actual fights in between the knockouts are not super entertaining. And he hasn't shown a super high level in the ring yet. So I don't know what he's trying to do by speaking like this. I don't know if he's trying to talk himself into a position of importance, but all this stuff is inconsequential to the outcome of the fight. I'd much rather hear him talk about performance rather than sort of like perceivable fame.
For Edgar Berlanga, destiny isn't random, but something you call upon, something you manifest. Calling him.
So Edgar Berlanga's in the ice bath here, and you can see that he's watching Canelo Bivol, which is the fight we've just spoken about, all the lessons that were learned from that fight. Physically similar in stature to Bivol, I believe Berlanga is. He might even be a little bit bigger. He's a pretty massive guy for the weight. I'd like to see them next to each other to know for sure if that's the case. But interesting that he's looking at this fight. He's got it on constantly. And as I say, there was many lessons to take away from how to beat Canelo in that fight. So that's a good sign for what we were talking about before.
I know that he's a guy that has a lot of experience, you know, so I got to be on my A game that night. You know, I can't slip up. I can't make mistakes. I want to be that mega star. I'm from New York. I'm Puerto Rican. Like, I'm handsome.
Why does he keep saying he's from New York? He's Puerto Rican. What is this thing? Like, I think I saw something really funny the other day where someone was like someone asked him about his chances in the fight, and he said, "I'm from New York. I'm Puerto Rican." And like, someone was like, "How is that a response to your chances of winning this fight?" It was very funny. It was in the comment section of the video. So he keeps saying this. I guess he's trying to rally the support from those places, but I don't. It's not going to help you win the fight, mate.
All these fights that I was catching, these first round knockouts, literally, like, you could put a brick wall in front of me and I'll break that motherfucker down. Like, I'll keep punching it and I'll break it down. I don't have to have the big muscles. I don't have to have crazy six-pack. I'm naturally gifted. I'm just strong.
He does have power. I will give him that. Now, whether that power translates as he goes up through the levels, that remains to be seen. He did knock out Poirier McCrory in his last fight, but how good is Poirier McCrory, we're not really sure. Honestly, it's really hard to assess how good Berlanga's power is. But look, guys, there's a lot of men that will get in the boxing ring with journeymen and not be able to stop them. Berlanga has done that. So there obviously is genuine power there to a certain extent. If he gets an opportunity to land clean on you, it's obviously going to cause damage. But Canelo's chin is one of the best in the game. So his power may be enough of a factor in this fight that means Canelo can be kept off him. I'll give him that. But how decisive will it be? I'm not sure.
Oh, you broke the bag. You broke it.
Broke that bitch. That's like his head, and I'm hitting him. Boom! And his head is squirting out blood. Canelo, estamos ready, oíste.
So we've just seen a bit of bag work in those last few sequences there, and honestly, I can't take anything from that bag work. You know, he's just throwing a lot of bent arm shots. He's throwing aggressively. I'd say it's more for stamina and cardio and possibly the camera than anything else. And honestly, if that's his game plan to throw bent arm shots against Canelo, that's not a good one. So I don't take anything from that bag work there. I was hoping to see something a bit more technical. I'm going to jump over to episode 2 now, guys, because this is the end of episode 1. We're going to get straight into the Berlanga camp in episode 2. I'll do you a deal here, guys. I'm going to keep turning out great content if you do me a favor, which is, if you were planning on buying this fight anyway, please just use my link in the description below. You don't have to pay anything extra. It just means that I get a little bit of the revenue for you paying for this fight, which really will help to support my channel. Otherwise, I make nothing from the affiliate deal, to be honest with you. So if you would like to do that, that'd be amazing. If you're tempted to buy the fight based on supporting my channel, even better, but I'm no fool. So if you guys were going to buy it, if you could just use my link, that'd be fantastic. I can promise you this fight's going to have an explosive finish. I think we all know which way it's going to go, but I think it'll be fun while it lasts. So get involved, guys. Thank you very much.
Destiny.
Excited?
No, he's fighting.
That's the guy your father is fighting. The guy with the...
Interesting. More footage of Canelo against Bivol. So the second time we've seen it now in these episodes where they're all watching Canelo Bivol. This is on a different screen this time. So I can only assume this has been a core part of their camp. And that is encouraging for Berlanga because this is the kind of stuff he needs to check out and see what he can take from. As I discussed before, these are the key elements that we need to beat Canelo.
The red hair, Canelo. It's gonna be very nice.
Hello, Canelo.
Canelo's gonna fell off. I see him throwing shots at people's arms. He started doing that when he started fighting bigger fighters. Break the arms down so then later rounds he could just, you know what I'm saying, start connecting.
That's true. I remember when he did that to Callum Smith, and Callum Smith had that giant welt on his left arm. Because one of Callum Smith's best shots is the check left hook. It was devastating. He was causing some of the biggest knockouts I've ever seen with that shot. And that is very true. He does do that. He does punch the arms of the bigger man, try to tire their arms out, drop their guard, throw with less power. It's a very smart tactic from Canelo. I'm sure old school fight fans, people that have been around for a longer time than me, will be able to tell me if other fighters have done that, but it's something I've not really seen too many guys doing. And it definitely works for Canelo. So I don't really know what you do to stop him doing that, other than just trying to keep him off you as far as possible. But you're going to need a nice tight high guard, as I said before. So you're just going to have to be big enough and strong enough to absorb some of those arm shots. But the main thing is reducing him to single shots rather than combinations, if possible. The way of doing that is moving your feet, creating angles, using the jab, as mentioned before.
That's his method all the time. He did it to Munguia. He'll hit you in the arms, then he'll hit you, and then he'll switch it up. That's how you drop Munguia. But that jab is his kryptonite. Bivol.
So that all of that is correct. So you saw just briefly there Bivol's light jab that I was talking about before, the constant jab, the double, triple jabs, nice and light, touching, sometimes throwing it a bit harder just to keep him honest. But what he was saying before about, the way that Canelo uses the guard manipulation as well, where he'll punch you high, he'll go low to your body, he'll move your guard up and down, he'll even punch around the guard, he'll punch up the middle, then punch around the sides of it. It's all really good stuff. So it's good that there's an understanding there from Berlanga that these are things that Canelo does. And so hopefully, for his sake, they're working into his camp. How do we get around these things? What did Bivol do well? Are we able to replicate some of the things that Bivol did? These are all the intangibles that we can't answer right now. But, as I said, guys, I'm looking for signs that something to make me believe that Berlanga can do better than what we think right now. Because I've not actually seen him execute a game plan that I was impressed with so far in any fight. And all the things that I've mentioned were few and far between on display in his previous fights. But let's continue with the documentary.
Throw at least like 60 jabs around.
Never let him breathe.
Whoop, out, whoop, good.
Jab again, look, you see? Uh-huh. Jab, jab, uppercut, jab, jab here. I'm big as fuck. You see my height? You see how big I am? I was destined for this, man. It was my time.
He's just mentioned his size there, and I was talking about that before, but how his size is comparable to Bivol's, and it's definitely giving him confidence. You can see visibly he's giving him confidence watching this Bivol performance. Now, what we've seen so far, Bivol is leagues and leagues above Berlanga in terms of ability, the consistent performance levels, the technique and style that he has. If Berlanga's going to actually pull this off and replicate this, it would be absolutely stunning, and it would be one of the best performances and biggest upsets in a ring, you know, that I can remember. It would be absolutely incredible if Berlanga could do this, because people are giving him little to no chance. So if he can go in there and pull off a Bivol-style performance, then his ceiling is astronomical, and we have grossly underestimated his talent levels.
There's a certain pride that comes with being from New York. A swagger born.
I've heard that. They're really hammering home this New York thing. I get they're trying to sell the fight, but guys, come on.
Me, my mom, and my sisters, you know, we went through shelter homes. My dad, you know, was in prison half of the time I was alive. When he first went to prison, when I was like 2 weeks old or something, he went away for 7 years. When he came home, he wound up putting me in the sport of boxing. He was like, "Yeah, you want to go to boxing gym?" When I was 7, I was like, "Yeah, like, let's go."
I said, "Oh my God, you don't know your power yet. I saw your power. I know what you got. When you learn what you got in your hands, and this is gonna be another story."
I fell in love with it. When I was 10, I was already winning national tournaments and stuff, and he got locked up again. When he went away, it was tough. You know, it wasn't easy. You know, I even went to his court date when they sentenced him to do 4 to 5 years.
So Berlanga's obviously had a tough upbringing, guys, and, you know, I feel great empathy for anybody that's been through that sort of upbringing, who's had those hardships to overcome, and, you know, it does drive a lot of guys to better lives, and great to see that Berlanga's making something of himself off the back of that. But what I will say is this is not an uncommon story in boxing, and I don't believe it's going to give him any kind of edge in this fight. I mean, I suppose saying it out loud and thinking about it, he might have a motivational edge over Canelo to some extent, because Canelo's made it. Canelo's been there, he's done it, he's got the bank account that's full of cash, he's got a lovely life, he's got loads of money, all the things anybody could want. So you could argue, and also he's perceivably, from to his mind, I'm sure he has picked in Berlanga someone he sees as an easier touch than some of the other challenges that we won't bother going into right now, but we know that there's fighters out there we would rather have seen Canelo fight. So, you know, maybe Canelo will be a little bit too complacent, and Berlanga's clearly hungry as hell. So, yes, I'm comparing him to the average boxer that comes through. Most guys have a story like that. But in this context, where Canelo has already made this comfortable life for himself and Berlanga's still trying to get there, it does make you wonder, you know, is there an edge in that? Possibly. But is it enough to beat Canelo? I'll give you my prediction in due course.
When they sleeping, we working.
I spoke numerous calls with my dad on the jail call, and my dad used to always tell me, "Please stay focused, stay in the gym. I need you in the gym," you know, and I listened to him, you know. He came home when I was like 14, 15, and he came back a different man. Like, you know, my dad changed his life.
Where do you think he learned it from?
We just locked in. From there, like, sky's the limit, that's it.
You want two? 1, 2. Oh.
5.
1.
5. 5.
5, 1.
Interesting that Berlanga's got his father in the camp and his whole family around. It could be a camp of distractions. It's not something you typically like to see. You kind of just want to see a very special relationship between the fighter and his coach. Sometimes that can be apparent, but to have both in there, it does make you sort of think, will there be conflicting agendas in the gym? Again, there on the pads, I'm seeing Berlanga throwing quite a lot of bent arm shots. I think it's pad work for the cameras. I'm not seeing anything really to indicate to me that he's going to be executing a particularly effective game plan, but, you know, hard to tell with that kind of pad work highlight video.
The younger Berlanga will draw upon his past to find the power he needs to seize this opportunity.
Get under, be creative. Good job. Canelo's not taking this kid lightly. Be short, right? He's a short guy. You can't be wrong. He'll see those shots coming. That's what I want. Use those big ass legs. I believe in Edgar, but I don't lie to Edgar. Now tell him he's gonna hit you fucking hard.
That was really interesting. His coach just said that. I'm pretty sure his coach just said there, He's a short guy. You can't be long. He'll see those shots coming. Let me just replay that and just check if that's what he said.
He's short, right? He's a short guy. You can't be long. He'll see those shots coming. Pass to what I want. Use them big ass.
Yeah, I think he said that. So that's really interesting because obviously we're hearing all this chat of the jab, the lead hand. Bivol kept him long, that's for sure. But he's saying don't keep it long. He'll see those shots coming. We want it shorter, which is very, very interesting. Don't know what to make of that. But, I mean, I suppose there's certain situations where you wouldn't want to throw long because there will be opportunities for Canelo to get inside his lead hand, for example, if he does that. But, interesting. Maybe this is inside work. Perhaps this is inside work they're doing where, maybe if Canelo's up on the ropes, or perhaps if Canelo has cut the range, what do you do when Canelo is in your space? How are you going to react? Yeah, not too sure, but that's curious.
I believe in Edgar, but I don't lie to Edgar. Now tell him he's gonna hit you fucking hard.
Facts.
Watch the uppercut. Close to him now, so everything's gotta be tight. And he's gonna put.
There you go, close to him now, so everything's got to be tight. So this is scenario work. They're operating at close range here. So this is a scenario-based drill on the bag. Interesting, he said there, watch the uppercut. If any of you've seen the Berlanga-Angulo fight, Angulo is about 5'9", very similar stature to Canelo. He hit Berlanga with so many damn uppercuts in that fight. He got Berlanga on the ropes so many damn times. And hopefully, for his sake, he's learnt lessons from that fight. Because if that was Canelo in Angulo's place that night, it ends early and brutally.
Put you in so many uncomfortable positions. And that's where we find out how great you are.
For Edgar Berlanga, September 14th is the moment to show the world he's chosen for greatness.
Yeah, another little bit of pads there. Again, guys, I wish I could tell you something that I'm seeing that's special in that pad work. I'm not getting anything from it. And that's the end of that, guys. So, with what we've just seen in mind, with what we've said about what it takes to beat Canelo, have I changed my pick for this fight? It's a difficult one. I didn't learn that much from watching that. There was a lot of sort of, buzzwords and things flying around about wanting to be mega famous and take over and it's my time. And listen, guys, I don't buy into any of that stuff, really. It doesn't mean anything to me. I'm looking for tactical and technical evidence, mental evidence, like sort of mindset and psychology that he's in the right place for this fight. He certainly doesn't seem overawed by the occasion from what I can tell, but I guess we won't know until the night. But what I would say is, just seeing those little clips of the Bivol fight around, that gave me a little bit of hope. Hearing him talk about the jab, that gave me a little bit of hope. Assessing some of the things that Canelo likes to do. I'm sure they've been working on a game plan. I'm sure they didn't show us any of it in this video. I think they've kept it very, very under wraps as much as they can. And I think even the pad work they were doing in this video was a bit of a false signal. I don't think that's probably how he's done most of this camp, if he's doing what I believe he's doing, which is trying to replicate the Bivol style. Now, does this make me change my prediction? I have initially said I believe it will be a KO Canelo within 5 rounds. I believe that was my prediction in my longer breakdown video. And do I want to change that? Well, I still think that's the most probable scenario. I think all this has done is made me feel that Berlanga might last a couple more rounds. Because if he is going to try and box long, if he is going to try and replicate that style, I think it might give him a bit more time in the fight. However, I don't believe he has the tactical discipline to execute that game plan. I've not seen it in any of his fights. So to say that I think he can do that is based on nothing other than this is somebody who's got his chance. So I don't think he's got the discipline to execute that game plan for 12 rounds. I don't think he's got the technical ability to move his feet the way that Bivol does, even though he is very athletic with his feet. He might have his own version of things. It might not be exactly the same as Bivol, but I just don't believe he's got the skill it takes to execute that game plan. He might be able to do parts of it. Like you saw with Munguia, there were certain things Munguia did that Bivol did, but then he was missing elements too. Like he was caught sagging in front of Canelo too much. He didn't take the angles. He definitely threw with those combinations. He definitely timed his attacks well, just like Bivol did. But ultimately, he was caught sitting in front of Canelo, and Canelo made him pay, as you saw. So yeah, guys, I think I'm still predicting a Canelo knockout. I'm now going to change my prediction to KO within 7 as opposed to 5. So yeah, that's how I view this. But guys, what do you think about this fight? Do you think that Berlanga can last 12 rounds with Canelo? Do you think he can win, potentially? How do you see this fight going? Let me know what you thought about this video, guys. Please like the video. Please subscribe to my channel if you enjoy this type of video. I'm going to be doing this sort of thing moving forward. for this fight, I'm planning on doing a live stream. At the very least, I'll be doing a reaction video. So 6 things we learned will be out straight after the fight. So you've got that to look forward to. And as I always say, guys, on to the next one.